All right, well, we got our Radtel radio back. It took about 22 days after I requested a refund, a replacement. So looks like they sent me a new one. I think we're gonna have to change the battery in this, or charge the battery, but I did want to see, one of the problems I had was the volume button on off. Oh, that's not it. Would stick. I thought it had a bent shaft on the volume control. Okay, this one feels way better. So I have a feeling that other one might have been dropped or something. So let's take the battery out of the package. Let's charge it up, and then I'll come back and we'll see if the GPS works. That was the main reason I returned the other one. All right, now on to the GPS. I've been playing around with this a lot off camera, and I finally figured out what the problem with the GPS is. So let's go ahead and turn it on, and I'll explain what's going on with the radio. So to turn on the GPS, you have to go into menu, and you have to go down to extended, and then you hit GPS. We have to turn it on, go down, turn it on. Then you're going to see up here a G appears, and that means GPS is on. Okay, then we can exit out of the menu here. And if we hold down the 2 key, I have it programmed to go to GPS, and you can see that nothing is working again. And at first I thought it was broken again, but then I realized if I go outside and I let it lock on satellites, eventually it will come on. And if you look at the date on this, down here you can see the date is, let's see, December 16th, 2024. So that's just the default date built into the radio. That's probably what it's programmed to default to if it loses power. I plugged the radio into the computer, and we need to go into menu. It's kind of hard to see when the light's on here. And we go into the backlight, and we got to go to PC, and we have to make sure it's on, and that will allow us to connect to a program you can download to see the GPS. And we're still not locked on to any satellites. This morning, it was locking on to satellites probably within 2 or 3 minutes. I've had this on for probably 10, 15 minutes, and it hasn't gotten a satellite lock. Now, if you have a true dedicated GPS, this is my eTrex Touch 35, and this actually uses the United States satellite system and also GLONASS, I believe it's pronounced, which is the Russian satellite system. The advantage of the Russian satellite system is GPS will work better far north, which I don't need to worry about because I think they have satellites orbiting the Earth closer in the polar orbit. But anyway, as you can see all the satellites it's reading right now. And what happens once your GPS figures out where it is, it downloads, it stores it in an almanac. So next time that you start your GPS, it'll start up pretty quick because it knows where to look for the satellites. The trouble with the Radtel radio is it has no backup battery. So once the satellites do load and you get a position, Once you turn off the radio, it doesn't remember your position on Earth, and it takes forever for this radio to figure out where you are. All right, I was able to get a satellite lock. I just had to take it out in the street where there's no obstructions, and it was able to locate the satellites. So this is the PC program you can download, and gives you all sorts of data that you can look at. The only data I'm really interested in right now, it's showing over here the satellites and the strength of the signals, the satellite number that we're on. And if we go over here, let's kind of focus on, let me take this off here. These are all the satellites we're locked on. And the satellite system that this radio uses, it uses the GPS United States system, and it also uses BDS, which is China's satellite system. So that's just showing you all the satellites that it's locked onto at the moment. So what I want to do right now, I'm going to take a short little drive. We're going to use the satellite system on the radio. I'm going to mark my car's location, probably take a 1.5 mile walk, and then I'm going to show you how you can use the radio to get back to your position that you marked. Okay, I've driven out a little ways. We're going to go try the GPS on this, but as you can see, comparing it to my Garmin, the radio says we're at 119.45.46, and the Garmin says 119.45.763, so we're off a little. And the latitude is 3857.29, and the Garmin has us at 3857.48, which is quite a difference in the radio. The Garmin's pretty accurate. It's right now, as you can see, I don't have it on there, but this is usually accurate within usually 10 to 20 feet. So the radio looks like the GPS in it is not quite as accurate. All right, so let's mark the location of our car, and to do that, you press the green circle, and we set our start point. And we're going to probably go take a walk for maybe 1.5 miles, and then I'll show you how we locate our start point from there. So I'll see you when I reach about 1.5 miles away. All right, we're exactly 1 mile away from the car. And to show how to get back to the car, we would push the pound button. And it says we need to go 225 degrees of start. And it is 1,804 meters away. So, unless you have a compass, this really isn't going to do you any good. Now, if you had a compass, I have an electronic compass on my Garmin GPS, but it's kind of silly. I could just use my Garmin to get back to the car. But if you did have a compass, you could keep pushing the pound key, and your distance would count down, and you could make corrections looking at the radio GPS information, and probably eventually find your car. But to me, it'd much be easier just to use a dedicated GPS. All right, if we look at our bearing again, 227 degrees of start, distance 811 meters. So technically, if you were totally lost and didn't have a compass, I suppose you could just look at the distance and walk in the direction where the distance drops the fastest, and that'd probably get you back to your car. Again, not a very good system to use, but I suppose in an emergency you could do that. So I'll see you back at the car. Okay, we're back at the car, and let's see where it shows us. 70 degrees to start, distance 3 meters. Okay, that's pretty accurate. So it has us 3 to 4 meters from what we originally marked. All right, verdict on the GPS. It does work. If you had a compass and you knew how to read it, you'd be fine. You could get back to your starting point. If you didn't have a compass, like I said before, you could just head in the direction where your distance from your starting point goes down, and you could probably eventually figure it out. But that brings up another problem. You have to leave the radio on. If you turn it off, it loses all its memory, and you won't be able to get back to your starting point. And I don't know what kind of drain the GPS does on the battery, but let's see, we were gone about 45 minutes and we still have a full battery. So looks like it's not a major drain, but if you were probably 6 or 7 hours into a hike, your radio may go dead before you get back. So there you have it. There's how you use the GPS on the Radtel RT-860G. So thanks for watching. I'll do some more future videos on this, and we'll look at the shortwave band on this probably in the next video. So please hit that subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber, and please hit the like button. So thanks again, and I'll see you next time.